Susie. Hey, Meg. Right, Ellis.
Hi, Ross.
Their shaved head's looking a bit more like now.
Yeah, looking a bit better. Maybe cut it a little bit too short. It's only a little bit. Oh, how is everyone?
Good. How are you coping?
All right. Not too bad. I watched a good documentary last night called Free Solo.
Oh yeah, I love that film.
Oh, it's wild. Guy climbs El Capitan without a rope, just 3,000 feet.
It's a brilliant film. Did it make you feel quite anxious though the whole way through?
Yeah. I mean, the guy was crazy. There's a bit there. He says it's the hardest bit, and there's a camera set up, and he does it 2,500 feet off the ground and just grins. What? It's got my turn. You all right?
Yeah. Hi.
There she is. Switch out your accent. No? Right. Just do a bit, shall we? I don't have any rubber guard stuff. I'm sorry. Do some half cut in, I think. You go down. I'm not very good at rubber guard. I'm actually a bit self-conscious about teaching. So, cover some dealing with this this knee shield and how we pass off of this. So, I really don't like having this leg on the floor too much. It's very, I'm not getting my weight going through this knee shield. You should always, whenever you see a knee shield, you should always lean on it. It also makes it a lot easier for her to potentially get underneath me. Granted, we've got, if we take a low body position as she tries getting under my leg, we've got our cross faces that could block that. So if somebody underhooks this leg, you should immediately go cross face. Yeah. And then start rolling your shoulder out across them, flattening them out. You would open your chest this way, allow the leg to shoot past. So if they underhook you here, you go deep. And now you see how I start to roll my chest over. My knee is gonna, the leg that she is trying to underhook, that knee is gonna travel down and look to hit her hip on that cross fist. So now I've dealt with the knee shield and I've dealt with the problem of her going underneath my leg. My knee is now under her thigh. And from here, I should find it quite easy for this arm to beat this leg and get ahead of that hip. From here, this top knee will come into the other hip and I've got her flat. So you should always really go for the underhook on the leg when your opponent is posturing up or pulling away off another attack. So if he's high, normally here it's very difficult now for me to get low enough into that cross face, and she's then got this leg up on her shoulder where she can start looking to sweep in. Another thing to potentially hide that leg fractionally is just turn this side of your body into the shin a little bit. Yeah. So I bring this forward and my left leg comes back fractionally. Normally you'll see me from this position, I'll be basing up on this outside leg so I can be kicking off of this leg low, making my weight as heavy as possible.
Yeah.
My left, I'm going to roll around the outside of this knee shield. I'm going to cross face, I'm going to go low. I'm going to open my chest, my knee is going to cut down, and I'm going to switch my hips as I go. Here. From here, arm works through, clearing the leg entirely, elbow comes in on the hip. Don't be tempted to go too high with this underhook. Elbow comes in on the hip, knee comes in. So our flat and half guard position where we can now start looking at tripod and pass the guard. Free in this knee line. You don't necessarily need to wait for the underhook to come in to do this opening up of our chest. So she doesn't have a flat surface to push against, allowing that knee shield to drift by. So here, we could, without her coming in on the underhook, open our chest, come in for our cross face. He should always be looking to come up above the knee and into the thigh towards her hip. Now I can work this hand through, elbow comes in on the hip. And in. So we're just doing a little roll around that knee shield. Yeah, you'll lean on it a bit, fairly low body position. One thing you absolutely don't want is to be going over the top of your opponent like this. You want to be applying pressure, but fairly low to the plane of the ground. The error will come is if you're here trying to apply pressure, now she'll get underneath you really easily. So low, pressure low, start going towards the head. You always want to be in the middle position, the starting position. It's very important that we stop this lower knee and half guard. So as soon as he opens her body up wide, this hand will always be living here. She'll feel very uncomfortable. The moment this knee goes inside our hips, she's in big trouble. So, here. Start hand on the knee, pressurizing forward. Same time our hand will start pushing through the middle. Yeah, we can switch now up to the cross space and replace this hand on the knee. My knee will now come in, hitting that thigh and towards the hip. And that hip switch, rolling past the knee shield, hand comes into the hip. We roll flat. From here, we've now got to free our knee line. We've got our hips totally flat. Probably best would be come up into a tripod, shin staple, and free to form out. Low body position, have them throw an underhook in on your leg. Yeah, cross face, knee comes down through the arm towards the hip. Hip drops onto the ground. Work the hand in, underhook on the far side. Elbow always connected to this hip. Kills her shrimp, that's the control. There, want that. Flatten. Now from here. Hips up, tripod. If you've got partners, guys, do a couple reps. If you want some questions, throw me some questions, for some helpful notes. Always lean on the knee shield, so if you're looking to pressurize that. Please feel free to shout out if you want. Run through it. If her knee collapses, we go for something different. So if the knee drops through the pressure, which happens a lot, so this is called a Z guard with the shin low like this. My favorite way of dealing with this is to drop the hip through that. So we'll move on to that next. So yeah. She starts looking to underhook my leg, cross space will come in to block that. In order to have an effective cross space here, I can't allow this lower knee to pop out ahead of my hip. So my knee has to do something about that with the hip switch. So my knee drops into the thigh, above the knee, into hip. Work the underhook in, elbow towards the hip. Once I've got this control, now I can start looking to flatten properly. Otherwise, you just keep running away from me. So lean on the knee shield. If there's no threat for the underhook here because your body shape is good, you're stuck in this leg. Yeah. Switch up to the cross space from this knee grip. So the cross space, knee comes in. So now I've got control on the near side hip or right hip because my knee is jammed against it. I work my underhook in. Now I've got double hip control. This elbow tight. I'm going to replace this elbow with this knee. Still got double hip control. Now with my left leg on her right side, on my right knee on her left. From here I can start moving up, tripoding to free that knee line and passing. Be very sequential, moving between the control you have in your opponent's hips. So knee shield collapses. This is a Z guard, guys. So this is a low knee shield. You don't want this knee too far across the line of your opponent's body. You want the knee fairly close to the hip here. Not so far that you just pop it by. That's your target. This is a Z guard. It's a low knee shield position. Can't pressurize this with our chest. So we've got to squash it with our hips. We can sometimes end up in this position from the high knee shield where it's starting to apply pressure. She's worried about this cross space, or she drops this knee into the hip. Whenever this happens, we've got to switch up how we're applying pressure. From here, my right hip is going to drop. I'm going to base my left leg. So right hip drops through, chest comes up. So we move to a sprawl position, kicking this right leg back. So a lot of different passes from here. What I like to do is go underhook near side. So this hand's going to come under the arm. Quite often she'll feel like she can probably reach for this. You know, it gives big opportunities to go underneath this near side, popping this up. Now I've got to be a pathway for this outside leg to attack her near hip. So now up, knee into the hip here. My elbow is already controlling the far hip. From here, you should be able to get this knee up and past the corner. So we'll start high. So we're applying pressure on our high knee shield here, but not too high on our head because that makes it easier for her to get underneath me with an underhook on this leg. So here, she is concerned with the pressure, switches it to a Z guard. Here, our reaction should be hands wide, base left leg, and drop the right hip through to sprawl. Stuck in it. If she wants to grapevine that lower leg like that, when I sprawl hard, it's going to break her knee. So we stuff this. Really don't want to be keeping this lower grapevine if your opponent's going to sprawl. Sprawl through. Stuff. So hands wide, leg base in. We're stuffing that knee. If this hand pops out, we near side underhook. And now we start looking to roll her flat, part in that right elbow away from her right knee. Knee comes into the hip. Here, we can bring this knee up and over that knee shield now and pass it the full man. So low knee shield, guys, Z guards, I want you sprawling through it. They take a Z guard, you really don't want to be just facing out here with this leg still tangled. They're going to get you up on the shoulders. Very strong guard position here. So when we see this here, base, hand goes wide and drop the hip through on that knee shield. Underhook the near side arm, roll open, forcing space for your right knee to come in to attack your opponent's hip. Far elbow is already controlling this hip. Don't ride high. Ride high, you're going to lose this. She's going to be able to off balance me. She tries framing and kicking away now, I'm gone. Whereas if this elbow is low and tight, and I guarantee she's going to try very hard, push away now. I ain't moving. Here, push. I'm gone. So elbows got to stay low and tight. Don't move up. Here, move low. Knee opens. Sometimes you can't, this leg can be a little bit tricky to get over, but for now, up and over that knee shield into a full mat. Worst thing can happen in the later stages of this pass is when we hit this hip switch, is that she'll give up on that Z guard, and now she'll kick her left leg through and link her legs together, crossing them like this. So here, obviously, we can't come up over the full mount immediately. We go back to flat with double unders, and then I start and look to elevate our hips, free our legs. So your pressure should be dynamic depending on what sort of knee shield she is taking. High knee shield, you can base your leg out, use your chest to apply pressure through. You can base it. If she takes a low knee shield here, we've got to squash it with our hips. Hand goes wide, elbow looks to attack that hip. Kick back and sprawl, underhooking near side, elbow stays tight on the hip, knee, if she kicks by to cross her legs, trying to maintain her guard, we come in, double unders, hips flat, in half. So yeah, 2 simple passes for varying levels of knee shield and half guard. Always want to be leaning on it. We can move through a couple other different pathways. But are there any questions on those first 2 passes? If you want to drill, please feel free, or just shout at me. 3 people. So this hip comes down, opens right there. Here, and she pressure. So knee drops, fix, elbow hits the hip. That's it. Yeah. So now underhook and up. Knee goes to ribs. Good. And you can find, yeah.
Ross, why did you cut your hair?
I got a little bit long and annoying, and also I still have my bald patch, and the bald patch of a Mohican is ridiculous.
It's like brow almost then, I guess.
Well, I think it looks cool, Ross. You enjoy having your cut shaved.
I'm really happy with no hair. Susie cut it.
Reluctantly.
Seb shaved my head the first time. I was like, I had enough.
He won't cut mine for some reason. I asked him a few times.
I think that's going to backfire. Let's say, yeah. Now, we can look to moving this to a standing position. Can't simply stand up in half guard. There's some grips you have to take first and body positions you have. So if I'm here and my hands aren't doing the right thing, and I look to step up on this leg, Susie's going to go right under for deep halves, high half guard. That would be like my leg here, and now life's difficult. So the grips you want to take in order to stand, a really good kind of chilling grip is this top hand C grip in. So you take an open hand in the armpit there, turning your elbow in to this hip. So if she tries, and so while we're doing this, left hand will be on the lower knee. So now as soon as you try sitting up and getting anywhere near me or underhooking me, go on. Very difficult to do that. So C gripping up in that armpit. And it's really frustrating and annoying. Like, this is a horrid grip to have to deal with when you're on the bottom. My favorite way of dealing with it is to look to attack arm drags. So Susie's lower hand will come to my wrist. This top one will come to my elbow. And now she will move her head away from me. So it's only so long, and that hand now is floating in front of her. So essentially got a Russian tie going on. So she'll sit up now with this hand across her body. Left hand will reach behind me to my armpit, and she'll kick that knee. She'll by looking to threaten my back. So she's arm drag me, and she's got my back exposed. So if somebody's taking a C grip on you, being really kind of negative, you can't hold it forever. There's your arm drags, and you'll take the kind of Russian tie variant now. So I don't want to hang around with this, and here you're going to pick your left knee up. Here. So from here we've got two directions we can go. We can start looking to drop this knee down, across her thigh into knee slices, facing this leg up at the same time. So we want to move to a knee slice. Got the knee shield in, maybe a low Z guard. We're taking a C grip in the armpit, keeping a bit of distance between our lower leg and her arm. Now we move up, we lean onto the left hand, pinning her knee down to the ground. So lean on that, knee comes up. Drop the right knee down across the thigh. If we're lucky, will end up inside the knee shield. Then we can knee slice pass immediately. More commonly, the knee will be inside across the hip, and we're now passing from a knee shield, knee slice position. So you want to move into a standing position. C grip, hand on the knee, lean onto that left side, picking your right knee up, facing to a knee slice position. Those are your grips. Lean left side, pick the right knee up, face to knee cut here. If you want, you can of course drop into the previous pass where you can sprawl through that knee shield, and we're looking to get in on that hip and no gi. So we're in a perfect long step position here. In a gi, I'd be looking to grab my left hand to the lower collar, and then looking to bring my left knee inside, dropping, stepping out, punching this leg away, and then bouncing up into side control. That lower collar, we don't have it no gi, so we've got to be imaginative with some different grips to replace it. My favorite is to isolate this arm. So I long step off of this gable or butterfly grip on the top shoulder. Okay. So from here, my left knee will come into the hip, and I'll drop my left hip down to the ground here. I'm looking for my top leg, knee, to beat her hip like this. So from here, sometimes I'll end up all the way out, or just here. You can bounce back up into the top position and around that knee shield. Great thing about it is that if you screw up and she bounces up on top, you've got this arm now isolated in a double butterfly position where you can kick away looking for our reversals, sweeps, or even arm isolation. It's a really good submission position. So it does look like a little bit of a Hail Mary pass, but works relatively well. So looking to move up from half guard on your knees, lean on this knee, C grip on the armpit. Knee comes up, drop down to a knee slice. Not the only option we have to bring the knee up and step across and start looking to go float past into our HQ position. Head walks. Lean, pick, knee cut, C grip in the armpit, solid. For our long steps in a gi, left hand will come in for a cross collar, right hand will take a grip anywhere on this leg, hip, knee, trouser leg. To replace that, one option is to look to gable this top arm here. Pull your opponent into you as close as possible. Left knee drops down into the hip. This left forearm drops in and under her chin. Here. Make sure your top knee beats her hip. So she's going to be keeping the left leg fairly high up to her chest. This, I want this knee to work in ahead of that hip. From here, quite often, we're in this kind of butterfly position. You see how I work the butterfly hook in? I can use this to keep her on her back, being unable to follow me up, and then coming up and around that knee shield. So, C grip on the knee. Lean onto your left side, raise the knee, drop it, and base. She's probably going to be framing on you a bit. This hand can switch from the armpit, knocking it off. Gable on the shoulder, make sure you pull her in close. Left knee comes in on the hip. Now we've got to work around that knee shield, bringing our top butterfly hook in at this point. So now she tries bouncing up. Some people very athletic will be able to do that. You can see we can use this hook to keep her down. I can come up into the top position and pass it her back. So it's a complicated one, but really there's a lot of good for me when I'm rugby. Again, guys, any questions or please just drill if you'd like, or shout at me. So let's take the secret. So this would be really useful. Yeah, you're going to want to take like, turn the elbow, so don't lean into it a little bit. So sit back a tad, there. Straighten a bit more now, circle nice. Pull now. See how annoying it is? So from here, lean onto this, pick this knee up and drop it at back. Base sits up, quality. So now here, link gable across the line of the shoulder. So link your hands together. Left knee comes in to this hip. Drop your butt. Now right knee finds that butterfly. Okay, you can see here, although I'm trying to pull you up, you can always place me back like that. So now extend to come up onto your head and your shoulders. Beautiful. So you see, you feel like you've almost swept yourself, but providing that you find that butterfly hook on the top, and you're just like, fine.
Nice.
Ross, quick question on Z guard. So when Z guard against me and they pinch their knees and they sort of lean back, I'm at a distance and I find it hard to sort of close the gap to get anything going when they sort of place this on my hip and they're sort of like leaning back and like, okay, do something, dude. And I'm over there.
Right, so they're passing and you're on the bottom.
No, I'm passing and they're playing a Z guard like this. I don't know if you can see my dummy.
Okay, right, so yeah, if they do that and throw their head away, we switch to a sprawl on the hip. So move to the previous pass. So if somebody, well, I'm knee slicing, yeah, and their head's way over here,
yeah,
giving me a huge amount of room to get in on their hips. So off of this position, she's not going to flatten herself out, she's going to stay on this side. So it's more like this, okay? So from here, I would kick my right leg back and sprawl down. The reason why I would do that, if her head is close, there's no space for me to get in to hip control here. That's why you should be keeping your head close here. There are risks of neck attacks, but somebody throws this out, we're switching from head control to hip control. So now I drop in, sprawl in here, I'm looking to square my opponent up at the hips. You see my elbow stayed low on this hip. From here, left knee will start cutting across to get in on this hip, which there'll be plenty of room because her head's so far away. So knee comes in on that hip and start opening out. So yeah, if they really don't want their head taken out, just switch to a sprawl, elbow tight on this hip, and look to start working this outside knee in on this hip and getting over that knee shield. So move back to the previous pass if your opponent's head is running a long way away from you. That help, Dennis?
Yeah, great, thank you.
Ross,
Yeah.
we were just talking about how having your knee occupy the kind of hip and that space is really helpful. And I guess kind of thinking about what other passes that like really features in. I don't know if you know what I'm kind of trying to say.
knee and knee here. There. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, you know, like when you're kind of working back up and where you basically, you put your knee in the hip kind of thing by that space. Like I'm wondering what other kind of passes that features in as well.
A lot.
Yeah.
Get this hip control. A lot from half guard. So I mean, that's our major objective from half, is to stuff this lower leg. A lot of people will kick this lower leg deep, and that opens up space between that knee and armpit, which means I can get a straight shot on this knee into that hip.
Okay.
So when I play in this half, a loose one, I never really want my arm to be too far away from my thigh, because it's always protecting my lower hip.
Right.
So in this, I've got to start applying pressure differently. Through here, using my underhooks to force that position open, getting into that hip, and then open it.
So do you find you always try to open the upper body away from the hip line, or do you try and kick the leg deep?
Yeah, definite preference these days for double unders when passing half guard. If I've got the option of going cross face or going an underhook on the near side, I'll go underhook. Obviously, Susie here has brought her head very close to this knee, which is exactly what she should be doing. So that kind of limits my ability of getting in on this underhook, so I have to go cross face. But if it's Ennis's problem where your opponent is running their head away, and we're used to going after the head for our control, she's just parted her elbow from her hip, from her knee, which means I've got a straight shot to get in on that near side underhook and control the hip. So here we can work in a little bit of a hip turn to get around that knee shield, but once that knee's jammed in on the hip, she's in huge trouble. If we're in like a middling position where they're not so close, I can't get that underhook, yeah, definitely I'll work this underhook and I'll use that, moving my chest forward. And my first objective now is to get this knee and knee in on that hip, and then pass off of that. So I quite like using this C grip here, generating that distance, shimmying back fractionally. So now I can start working double unders.
Yeah.
I throw my weight forward.
Yeah.
Opening up between elbow and knee to get in on the hip and pass.
You were saying earlier about using the C grip and using your elbow to kind of pinch the hip opening up.
Yeah. So that C grip, you should really be turning your elbow to face the floor. So my arm isn't dead straight, fractionally bent. You do a little bit of. It's really strong, kind of in this shape. Slight bend in it with the elbow not pointing out, but facing the floor. Keep this elbow close to the line of your lat when you're doing that.
Do you ever have any like difficulty with people trying to flare their elbow up and open up that space? Or sorry, cut out then.
Yeah. So you see how I'm turning my elbow down and in. My elbow's open. Susie can just throw an arm under here, and it's got no kind of control there. Of course, we're not worried if our opponent underhooks us, because we use that the same principle that we were discussing. Yeah, so if Susie does underhook me when I'm taking this C grip, she knocks my hand out of the way and underhooks here, I want this lower hip control. I can kill her underhook effectively if I can get control on this hip. I do that by underhooking, grabbing the shoulder, throwing my weight not forwards, but sideways. I want my weight to end up over this hip.
Right.
Throw weight sideways. You see my elbow collapses to her underhook, and my left knee will now start traveling the hip immediately. I've got those hips. I'm in a great position to pass, even if she's got her arm under mine.
Are you almost trying to get her hips to rotate the other way?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is great. There are passes where we can actually walk our opponent to face the other direction. This is done. She's got nothing here. It's called a smash pass. So what we don't like in passing half guard is this body shape, is this hip angle. We've got to flatten the hips. If I do that just with my arm, she'll always readjust. So I've got to get control over both hips. It's easy to get control over one at a time, getting control of both is different. So here I've got control over the top with this elbow and this C grip in on this hip. I underhook the knee aside to force a bit of space between that elbow and that knee for my left knee to get in on the hip. Now I can start thinking about flattening her hips because I got control over both of them. Now they're flat. I've still got control over the hips. I can walk her to the side into smash passes.
One last question, Ross. Apologies for kind of hogging the time, but is there a worry when you get into that position, you've taken that control of that hip, that she might get a butterfly hook on the other side? And
yeah, definitely. Right, you should have. There's chains off of that as well. So in utilizing this kind of turn on our body to get in on this hip and clear this knee shield, sometimes your opponent can use this, pummel this outside butterfly hook in. To counter this, I don't want my weight off this side. I'll immediately let go of the head or my underhooks. Bounce it up onto my hand and now go into a float position. Butterfly doesn't work very well when your opponent's floating. So you want to switch. You're now in a butterfly guard, switch up to your hands. You pummel. Left foot inside. If somebody gets one butterfly hook in like this, I always look to pummel my other leg in. Now I bounce across, knee slicing over to the other side. Sorry. If everyone's taking notes, guys, you see these outside butterfly hooks coming in half guard, whether you're square, whether you're slightly turned, your job is one thing. Get this foot inside the other leg. So she's got her outside butterfly hook in. I lean back, inside leg position with the leg she's not butterfly hook. And we knee slice to the other side. So from here, base up the leg on the leg she's butterfly hooking, jump across into your knee. So it's a simple thing to look for. Slice the other side. So previous passes we work today, we work it open, knee comes in, she finds left leg butterfly hooking in there. Off of this, I bounce back up, finding inside leg position with my left leg. I step wide with the leg as being butterfly. This should start turning her hips to the other side. And now we knee cut through to the other side. In, butterfly hook is found, bounce back up, in. We can stay square and float directly over the middle of the butterfly hook as well. So we could take cross face, gable, raising our butt, being nasty with that shoulder pressure, getting over that butterfly hook. But you can only do that, guys, if you flatten the hips. If I try committing weight onto her head with any sort of displacement on my hips, so my hips are slightly off center, Susie's got to go flat. Butterfly hook comes in, you want both of their hips on the ground. You don't want any angle either side. So having said that, look how awful this would be. She puts the butterfly hook in, my hips are totally off of hers. So I've got to be pretty quick when I see this. If I dilly-dally, she just starts extending this a little bit, now there's no way I can shift my weight back over there, just from her kicking a little bit. So the moment she finds the hook, you've got to be ready for this. You bounce up, chin stipple in, you either stay in the middle, working your cross fist, or you can go more dynamic passes, working the underhook on this side, and knee cutting over the other side. So yeah, butterfly hooks come in, float, get your hips over there. Good questions, guys. Liking this. So leave you drill a little bit, or I think final move we'll cover is squaring up to HQ. So we're in our C grip in the armpit, a little bit low. So we use this C grip over the knee if the knee was low. If it's high, we go up inside it, the elbow tight. From here, lean onto your left side, right leg up. We covered knee slices off this way, and what that can potentially lead to. Another option is for this knee not to drop to the floor, but to open up and turn our opponent into a headquarters position. So from half guard, we've ended up here, headquarters. So C grip in, chin in this way. C grip and here. So we lean up, we step and turn our opponent. Lots of different passing options here. We've got back takes if we want, some fancy ones. So pass one, we're going to go for a float pass just to finish the class. Hands come out, weight onto our hands. Left foot comes in, finding the other foot, and we float over her guard. We come around so you can see the footwork. Knee shield half, please. See grip in. We lean instead of going knee slice. We step. We use our elbow on the inside of the thigh to help us as well. We turn our opponent. Hands come up into a float position. The higher, but you want to go really high, really high. So weight onto your hands. Head goes above the line of your opponent's head. No risk of your opponent armbarring you here, providing you keep your hips high and she doesn't have any way of kicking them back. So here, foot comes in, finds this. So we hook where a foot connects to a shin. And knee up. So yeah. Today we have covered square. Leaning through a high knee shield. Having our opponent drop the knee down into a Z guard, sprawling through that Z guard. Passes here. We also covered our opponent finding butterfly hooks in this half guard. You want to go square, keeping your opponent's hips flat. We definitely don't want to be staying outside here. We also move to knee cut positions from half. This C grip is massive for that. That hand isn't in there and we just pod up. There's a lot of opportunities for our opponent to get underneath this. C grip in the armpit, hand on the knee, allows us to freely move this leg without our opponent move into different guards. Checks them for a second. Move to the knee cut. The final move was up, stepping across into headquarters, into float passes. Now you see how Susie's trying to catch me out by moving the foot up with my butt. What we do there is if that leg follows us as we try to float, we sprawl through left hip into smash passes, because legs are easier to collapse the more straight they are. If Susie keeps her knees tight to her chest, it's harder for me to get these knees together down to the ground. But if she's extended, now that sprawl makes it easy to collapse. And to illustrate this, Susie keeps her knees tight to her chest, right? And wide. So in this position. So I'm going to go double hands like this right here. Keep this knee open as hard as you can. Can't do it. She straightens that leg. Straighten it, please. That's why that's easier. So yeah, that's our 45 minutes, guys. If you've got any questions for me, it's a little bit of a scout and just some ideas on how we don't get caught up in half guard. If I'm getting frustrated in passing a half guard, I stand up. But you gotta know how to do that safely without your opponent getting underneath you every time you look to stand. Okay, and it's these grips. Hand on the knee, hand in the armpit. Probably take double armpits as well if you wanted to. I like it on the knee. That allows me to pick this knee up into knee cuts or beating that knee on my elbow and into float passing and headquarters. Throw any questions at me, guys? Or say goodbye and leave you in.
Time for one.
You got one. Go ahead, Anis.
Sorry, I always have questions. Right, so when I go into smash passing and I manage to collapse their top knee, sometimes they will manage to sort of lift their hips and go into a turtle. So although I have the top knee, they're sort of coming up behind me as I'm trying to smash them. That makes sense.
Right, I got you. Right. So I noticed your smash pass, you're taking a leg weave. So it does this, so taking a leg weave does make it easier for your opponent to turtle. I would prefer kicking my knee back into a sprawl position instead.
Right.
Opponent is exposing their back. So if they start looking to continue to turn, what I would do is my leg weave leg would pummel over the other leg. So currently, this shin is across here. She's turtling. I'll try to get to your knees. This foot will transition onto this leg. So as she turns, gets the turtle, foot transitions in here. This top knee will come into that slot. My far hand, my left hand, will be looking to jam inside that far thigh as my knee is dropping in. And I'll be looking, jump on her back off of her turtling.
Right, so you're going into the back system if they turtle.
Yeah, so you can either, I mean, guess you've got two options. Stopping them from turtling, which would be the sprawl, or letting it happen and take their back. So you got your knee coming through. As you feel they're turtling and pushing you off, what you don't want is for this leg to end up popping in between the legs. Absolutely not happening. So it's best there to take weight off if they're too strong. That leg is covering the wrong leg. I want it pummeling over that near one. And now I want this knee shooting through this slot. Yeah. Once my knee is in, I can take the back very easily. But yeah, I'd probably say if they turtle, take more weight off, allow them to turtle, make sure you get your foot positioning correct and threaten the back. If you don't want them to turtle, you really want your leg weaving leg, the knee, turning into the hip when we're controlling here. With my left elbow connected to the other hip. So now if she tries turtling, she ain't going anywhere. What you might be doing is moving the knee away from the hip, turning it more into a knee slide. The leg weave isn't that. It looks really similar to it, but now if Susie tries to turtle, it'll be and throws her hips up in the air, we'll get up. She will be able to. Whereas if I'm not looking to slide my knee away, I'm turning this knee into that hip with the elbow collapsed here. Now we're cool. Another option, Ennis, get on her neck. If she's turning that hard over the head, start looking to threaten your neck attacks. Yeah. Threaten the back, or don't let them turtle, or get on the neck. Those would be your pathways off of that hand.
This is gold. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'd probably go neck attacks. I like my front headlock. I'd be looking to get on the neck from there. Right, guys. If there's no other questions, we'll call it. But there are. I'm happy to keep talking about jiu-jitsu. I'm wondering who's going to come back the fattest after all this is done.
It's it's probably a safe bet, Ross. To be fair.
It'll be me, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Ross, when is your next class? What are you next scheduled to teach?
We cut off?
When is the next class you're teaching?
Monday. So I do Mondays and Thursdays.
Is that in the evening or lunchtime?
I think I've got 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Because Susie works. She's using the living room as an office.
Okay.
I can't use it during the day, so 8 o'clock is when I'm teaching the classes.
I was going to ask, have you got anything planned to teach? Or
I might do some. No, I kind of did the escape systems for 2-3 weeks. Now we're moving on from that. I'm taking requests, although I'm conscious that I've promised.
I guess someone wants rubber guard.
I've promised rubber guard to Megan a lot, and haven't done it yet.
Can I put something to the list for the queue or in the future?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Just Turtle stuff, because I remember you had like some really nice stuff from Turtle. Using Turtle almost like offensively, which I'd quite like to kind of revisit.
Yeah, no, that fits in with some of the stuff that we did over the last few weeks. So I can definitely add that in for sure.
Cool. Okay.
Thanks, friend.
Right, guys. Hope
Right.
you all have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Ross.
Yeah, thanks for
care.
chatting with me. Bye.
Bye, Susie.
Bye. Yeah.